Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a question that's causing a ton of anxiety in the tech world. Is the entry-level coding job actually a thing of the past? We've gone through the research and we're going to break down what it really says. So, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the fear that's out there. Then, we'll dig into the hard data. After that, we'll explore a really interesting paradox about AI and productivity. From there, we'll define what this new junior developer role looks like, and we'll wrap it all up with a solid action plan you can use. All right, first up, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. If you've spent any time on tech Twitter, Reddit, or, anywhere online, you've seen it. The headlines screaming that the junior developer is dead. But how much of that is just fear, and what's the actual reality? This is the million-dollar question, right? And honestly, the panic is totally understandable. Why? Well, because these new AI coding assistants are getting ridiculously good at doing the exact kind of work that used to be the core of a junior developer's first year on the job. But the source material gives us a much more interesting answer. The role isn't dying, it's changing. Or as the source so perfectly puts it, it has mutated into something totally new. The old version might be fading, but a new, different one is rising up to take its place. Let's be really clear about what's going away. We're talking about that traditional role, the one where you're grabbing small tickets, writing boilerplate code, fixing tiny little bugs. That stuff is becoming less valuable. And the reason is simple. AI assistants can do those isolated, low-context tasks way, way faster than a human who's just learning. So, if that's the old role, what's the new one? To really get it, we have to push past the hype and look at the actual numbers. Because the data tells a really specific and maybe even surprising story about where all of this is actually going. Okay, first thing you have to understand is this key distinction that the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics makes. They see computer programmers, people who just write code from a set of instructions, as a totally different job from software developers who are involved in building the whole system. And believe me, their futures look very, very different. And boom, here's that difference in black and white. Look at these projections. The number of programmer jobs, the ones focused purely on typing code, is actually expected to shrink. But at the same time, roles for developers and testers, the people who build and guarantee the quality of systems, are set to grow like crazy. The value is clearly shifting away from just writing code. And of course, AI is right at the heart of this whole transformation. And we're not talking about a small trend here. Adoption is absolutely massive. A whopping 84% of developers are already using or planning to use AI tools in their day-to-day work. This isn't some future thing. It is happening right now. But, and this is the big but, here's the twist that changes everything. Even though almost everyone is using AI, that same Stack Overflow survey found that only about 29% of developers actually have high trust in its accuracy. That enormous trust gap, it's creating a huge and growing need for humans to do verification, testing, and quality control. That massive trust gap leads us straight into something the research calls the AI productivity paradox. It turns out, the idea that AI just makes everyone faster is way too simple. The truth is a lot more interesting than that. So on one hand, you see these amazing studies, like the one from GitHub. It found that in a controlled setting, developers using an AI assistant were a staggering 55% faster at getting their tasks done. This is especially true when you're starting a new project or just writing a bunch of boilerplate code. But then you see another super rigorous study that found the complete opposite. When experienced developers were working inside a complex, real-world project, using AI tools actually made them 19% slower. Why? Because all the time they spent prompting the AI, waiting for it, and then carefully fixing its mistakes just took longer than doing it themselves. So, what does this all mean? The conclusion is pretty clear. For the simple, isolated tasks of that old junior role, AI is a superpower. But for the messy, complex, high-stakes work of a real software project, it's basically just a draft generator, one that you have to carefully check. And that paradox, that gap between what AI is good at and what it's bad at, that's exactly what creates and defines this new, mutated role for the entry-level developer. The job exists because of AI's strengths and, more importantly, because of its weaknesses. And this isn't just theory, it's already changing who gets hired. This stat from a Microsoft and LinkedIn report is just mind-blowing. Nearly 3/4 of leaders said they would rather hire someone with less experience who has AI skills than someone with more experience who doesn't. Just think about that. Your skill with AI is becoming more valuable than years of traditional experience. So here it is. This is the new job description. The focus has completely shifted. It's less about being a coder and more about being an engineer who can take a feature from an initial AI-generated draft all the way to a successful deployment, making sure it actually works for real users. So what's your day-to-day actually going to look like? Well, it's shifting away from just writing simple code from scratch. Now it's about these critical tasks. You're verifying AI's output, you're debugging real problems in production, you're hunting for security holes, and you're making sure the whole thing gets shipped reliably. Okay, so that's the new landscape. The real question is, what do you do about it? The goal here isn't just to survive this massive shift, it's to win. So let's get into a real, practical action plan for how you can set yourself up for success. So instead of just focusing on learning how to write code, you've got to build these 3 skills that will make you stand out. First, a testing mindset. You have to prove the code works. Second, system debugging. You can find the root cause of a problem anywhere in the system. And third, you have to master the AI workflow itself. These are the things AI absolutely cannot do on its own. And developing those skills points you directly to where the biggest opportunities are exploding right now. Think about specializing in high-demand fields like QA automation or SDET, that's software development engineering test. These areas, along with security, infrastructure, and data engineering, are all built around solving those complex, high-context problems that AI just isn't good at. When you really boil it all down, this is the key takeaway. The old career ladder for new engineers is broken. Your value isn't measured by how fast you can type code anymore. It's measured by your ability to use all the tools at your disposal, including AI, to ship a high-quality, working product that people can actually use. So the path forward is actually clear. The junior developer isn't dead, not even close. It's been reborn with a brand new set of expectations. The industry is adapting at an incredible speed. So the only question that's left is the one you see on the screen. Have you